My next guest is the incumbent city council candidate for Ward 1. Kory, thanks for making time to be here today.
You bet. Thanks for asking.
No problem. I appreciate you guys. A lot of you guys are coming on, so I'm really excited for this. I'm Zach Miller with my co-host Vance Ryne,
Thanks for coming on, Kory.
You bet. Thank you.
and we are touching base with Kory Hildebrand today. Let's get a little bit of background from you. So where are you originally from?
I'm actually born and raised right here in Norfolk. My mom and dad moved here in 1973, and they've been planted here ever since. I graduated from Norfolk High and Northeast Community College. I left for a couple of years. I went to college up in Mitchell, South Dakota, and then I moved to Beatrice for a little while as I worked for the city for them as a lineman, and then for 7 years after that, I was a lineman for a contractor. And since then, or in that meantime, I took our family business and I have expanded into a lot more than what we originally started. So I have a HMI landscaping services. And so I landscape when I'm not busy at the college. So I'm a utility line instructor at the college. I specialize in job training and safety. So I travel the state and I go to the rural electrics in the state and the municipalities that own their own electric utility.
That's great. You're a busy guy.
I'm a busy guy.
That's what your schooling was UL?
Yeah, yep.
You kind of ran through quite a few of those. Have you ran previously or served on any other boards, committees, or public office outside of the city council?
And nothing elected for public service.
No.
Anything like volunteered on any boards or anything like that?
I was and kind of still active, but I have been part of the Nebraska Line Workers Rodeo Association. I helped get that started. We started that 12 years ago. This will be our 13th lineman rodeo in Broken Bow, Nebraska. We started with it in Grand Island at the fairgrounds at the same time that the state fair was going on. So that was a lot of fun work. I
remember seeing that a couple times when my dad was on the state fair board for 10 years. So I remember you guys being down there.
Yeah, it was.
I just assumed you guys were still there. I didn't know you'd moved now.
No, we. I don't want to. I mean, it doesn't matter why we're not there, but we are actually at the fairgrounds in Custer County Fairgrounds there in Broken Bow. It just seems to work better.
Yep. Do you do it during their fair, or you're a standalone?
No,
event
we're standalone now.
So you've grown then.
Oh yeah,
been much bigger.
Yeah,
so.
I want to say we probably have. We're no Kansas City Lineman's Rodeo, or no. For the International Lions Rodeo, but we probably are now up to close to 30 apprentices and probably 15 to 17 journeyman teams now, and we keep growing, so it's awesome.
That's great. That's great to hear. So you're pretty involved with a lot of community involvement and things like that.
Yeah.
As far as that, I don't know much about the Lyman Rodeo, but sounds like a cool deal. What about our community in Norfolk is special to you?
That's a good question, and I'm going to give you the answer is that I remember growing up here. There's a lot of positive influence from this community that influenced me, and whether it be a local school teacher at the public schools or just individuals that were involved, and they would come for civic day to school, and you were able to ask questions. And honestly, I had a government teacher at the high school. His name's Mr. Kubik, and
Great teacher.
Great teacher. I would say he probably hooked me on the importance of government. And so then fast forward to 4 years ago, I had somebody reach out to me and said, "Hey, there's nobody running in Ward 1. Are you interested?" And I'm like, "God, funny you asked it." I knew I was kind of, I'm here, I'm going to stay. I'm not leaving. I'm not going anywhere. And I knew I wanted to give back. So I'm like, "Yeah, what's it take?" And she's like, "Well, we have two council meetings a month." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to give back." And it's been so much more than just 2 council meetings a month, but been so positive. It's been so awesome doing what I've done.
You guys all seem pretty happy.
Maybe I missed it, but how long have you been on the city council then? Just one term?
Just one term. Yep.
This will be your second?
This will be my second one. Yep.
What are some of the highlights that make Norfolk stand out to you?
Some of the highlights of Norfolk as a recent, and I say recent as in the last decade, is look at the growth we've had. Look at the growth that the interest that we've had. We've had a housing, I'm going to say, a crisis, and we've really adapted to overcome that. And we're still working on it. We're working on workforce housing. We're working on other developments as well, and just pledging forward to grow our community. And honestly, I think we're finding, as the growth happens, we're finding some good amount of unity as things progress and go forward.
Was housing a pretty hot topic for your term being there?
It was definitely a concern. When I ran, that was during the COVID time. So that was, it wasn't a friendly thing to go door to door and talk to people. And so from there, I think I think name recognition helped me a little bit. And also I sent postcards. I said, hey, if you want to talk, email me, and we can discuss things. And that was one of them. And then, just kind of the infrastructure. And I'm the first one to say that infrastructure is a huge part of growing a community.
I would agree.
So when you talk about the housing has obviously been an issue, and we kind of all know it has in the past. And what are your thoughts, or what do you say when people say, well, we realize we've got more housing now, but it seems to be priced out of a lot of people's range? How do we combat that, or do you have thoughts on that, or what's your argument to that? Maybe.
No, that's
kind of open ended there.
Yeah, that's actually a good question. And affordable housing, I don't like the term affordable housing.
I don't like it at all.
Because what's affordable to someone is not affordable to the next person.
Correct.
Right. So I don't like the term affordable housing.
Usually it comes with strings too. Anytime you put affordable housing on something, you got strings on it. So.
But I would like to say that how do we get to have attainable housing? Yep. One thing that we've done since I've been on council is that we loosen the restrictions, and you can have a tiny home village. The other thing is that
that's fairly recent, right?
Yeah. The other thing is that I don't know if prior to this, if this would have ever happened, but the trailer court, the mobile home trailer court out on Bonita Drive, man, we had a developer come in and said, hey, I'm going to do this, and if you haven't had a chance to drive out there, look at it.
Where's that at?
Down on Bonita Drive, off of South Highway 81. You turn where Nebraska Harvester is, or Bobcat.
Yep.
You go south, you go by the county shed, and then it's off to the right.
Okay.
And they're sticking a good amount of money in there. So when you say attainable housing, I don't know what a new modular home costs, but if you're talking 80 to 100,000, it's a place to start for the next 5 to 7 years. Yep. Get things rolling, and then graduate from there to the next step. Yep. Till you keep graduating till the next step till you get to that forever home.
I kind of look at it more on the apartment sides of it. Like some of these newer big apartments are, in my opinion, extremely high priced.
I've heard they're $1,200 a month. I've heard they're $1,600 a month. That's a steep
for an apartment.
Yeah.
I mean, and that kind of goes back into a culture thing too. Maybe we push a little bit more home ownership, or try to find that. But I know it's difficult too.
Yeah, some of those are as much as a mortgage. Maybe not nowadays, but about 4 years back.
Yeah, and one thing that's out of anybody's control. I mean, maybe it's not on the federal side of things or the bigger side of things, but is inflation and interest rates are not helping.
No. It's difficult for everybody. And this was a difficult question. So
it was.
I'm not attacking you.
Yeah,
I'm just asking.
And it goes back to insurance. It goes back to all the property tax, everything that goes into putting an apartment up.
Right.
Too, so it as everything else goes up, the rent has to go up too. So
the developers got to make their payment, their mortgage payment to the bank.
Yep. Well, and there's we have some listener questions later, so we'll try to get back into that just so their question gets asked. So I won't get too much far into it now. What do you feel Norfolk could improve on? Just a couple topics maybe, or one.
One thing I think we're doing a good job, but we could do better. I think we need to work honestly on our infrastructure that we don't think about. One of the things that is bothering is a concern of mine is, when you use the bathroom, you flush a stool and it goes away, right? I got people in my ward that if we have a flooding event, or we have something where the sewer backs up, the lift station doesn't work, they're getting sewer in their house.
Right.
That's a problem.
Right.
I know we have people saying, "Oh, we don't need to spend the money on a lift station. It doesn't do any good. It doesn't do enough." And I don't want that. I don't want that at my house.
Right.
So the fix is to put a lift station in, but don't put one in that fits today's needs. Put one in that fits 20 years needs.
Right.
As we forecast some things that are happening on my side of the town. We're gonna have Norfolk Crush tying on. Nucor did their expansion. I mean, and hopefully there's new businesses coming, and as they do, we're going to need that new lift station. And then beyond the lift station, if you have the will to do so, go look and meet with our sewer plant supervisor.
Right.
It's there hasn't been any work done for decades.
Long time.
And that bothers me. I know it's an expensive venture, but that bothers me. That's one thing that is bothersome to me. Because you don't think about it. You drive on the roads every day. You know which ones got potholes in. You know which ones are gonna. There's a 1 to 6 year plan for those, but there isn't for the sewer side of things.
Has that ever been brought up before? Like even before your term, has that been a thing that's been brought up in the past, or is that kind of a new?
No, it's been brought up. We tried for a while to upgrade the lift station with some citizen pushback. We've kind of, I guess, put that on pause.
What was some of the pushback?
Just the flow needs weren't there on their calculations, and if we were to build this bigger lift station on Omaha Avenue, then you would have to put a bladder in to meet today's needs. But why would you spend the money for today's needs when we really need to think about what we can do for 20 years from now?
Right. What were you brought up the crush plant? What were your thoughts on that?
It's fantastic. There's a couple of reasons. One, it's we have the construct. Let's just start with the construction side of it. So there's a $365 million project going on. We have people, heads in beds. We have people eating out. We have people here funding our community in sales tax. The other thing is that we're deep in agriculture here. You can't deny that we're deep in agriculture. So why wouldn't we want to support somebody who wants to stick a $365 million project in to support agriculture? Not only are we going to be driving Madison County, but we're going to be driving multiple counties, because right now, where's the closest crush plant? I think is Sioux City.
Is it?
I think it's Sioux City. So
what's the? I'm trying to think of the right way to say this. Does that bring in a higher end workforce? Crush plant, or?
They got some really well-paying jobs.
Does it? Okay. I didn't know for sure. Some people get a little weird when it comes to packing plants and things like that. So
so these are
less. It's not really on the same. It wouldn't be in the same category as what a packing plant.
Right. I was trying to figure out how to word that question. But,
yeah. So you have really well-paying jobs, and I'm gonna throw a figure out on hearsay. So $30 an hour is a good paying job to me. But now, I go take a job for $30 an hour, and I've moved to town. What's the secondary income? So where does my wife go to work? So what if she's going to make $20 an hour? Where are we spending our money? We're staying here. We're buying those houses, where the payment is $1,600 or $1,600 a month, $2,000. We are making those needs.
Right, makes sense. What qualities and values make you an effective leader and decision maker that you feel?
Okay. One thing is that I think I want to say it's unique. It's probably not as unique as I think, but being involved in Norfolk for over 40 years I think I can remember being a kid, and I can remember what the 90s were like. I can remember what the 2000s. I can remember up to the last, decade or a little over a decade.
Right.
Where we were to where we are today. Not to repeat history, maybe I should say.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Is a unique one. I guess the other side to it that is, I really do like hearing from people. Mm-hmm. I really like hearing from people. And I ran into somebody just a week ago, and I was at a mutual friend's house, and I finally told him. He was saying something about the pothole out in front of his house. I said, hey, I said, why don't I take care of that for you? And he's like, what are you going to do? And I said, well, actually, I'm your councilman. I said, let me take care of that for you. So just hearing those concerns are awesome.
Right.
Being able to address somebody else's concerns are awesome. Being able to help somebody who doesn't want to have that voice. You got to have that mentality that you're willing to stick up for somebody and you're willing to fight for somebody. I think that's a unique trait that not everybody has. The other thing that I think is cool is I'm just a common guy, man. I'm just a common guy. I mean, I'm a utility lineman. I was in the business of being a lineman. I've been a utility line instructor for the college for the last 15 years. I run landscaping business. I'm just a common person.
Down to earth, blue collar.
Yeah, exactly. That can relate to you.
Right.
And if you have, and I've kind of already said this, but it's a neat trait when somebody is too timid to speak, but they're comfortable talking to you.
Right.
I'm comfortable talking to you, so I am going to say something to you that I think you should do, or asking questions why and being able to explain those answers versus them living off misinformation.
Do you guys get a lot? I was going to ask this too. Do you guys get a lot of like emails and things from city?
At times.
Pages? Yeah.
At times, I will tell you, it probably goes in spurts. Sometimes, yeah, it's 5, 6 emails regularly for me, and then sometimes it just dies off. Mm-hmm. But my city email is on the webpage, and every councilman there, so you can always reach out that way. You can always give us a phone call. Our phone calls are public.
I was going to say your phone numbers are public, yeah.
So you can go. You can call us, and I like when people, if you've addressed a concern for them, I like when they follow up with you.
Right.
And just say, hey, thanks. So this gentleman that said that he got his pothole fixed, he is our mutual friend, just text me and said, hey, this individual just thinks it's great that you did that. I'm like, but I don't know if there's a problem if nobody explains themselves.
Right.
Nobody tells us. I don't know what that problem is.
Right. That makes sense.
How do you, I'm just listening to that. How do you walk that fine line where it's really not your city council person's responsibility to know that that's a problem? To me, that's the division's problem. So how do we find that fine line where we're like, you guys, we as a group, it's our street division, we need to be paying attention to stuff like this, as opposed to you having to go say, hey, I'm told there's this pothole at this location, we need to go get this fixed.
That's a tough one.
Actually, if you want to talk about potholes, that's a great one.
Yeah.
Because I went so we're talking about pothole here. But I went online and I screenshotted everything and sent it how to do it. When you fill out a pothole, that was, I guess maybe that was a way to educate that they didn't even know was available. But maybe we do need to do a better job of doing some press releases or doing some.
I'm kind of big on personal accountability is kind of what I'm getting at. How do we get, and I understand it's hard. It's in every division, every industry. I mean, I deal with the same thing in certain, just getting people to buy in or getting people that are proud of their work. And how do we find that fine line thing to where, then I get, you know what I mean? Like you had to go, hey, you guys need to go get this, or you probably did it a different way, but like, we got to get this pothole fixed in this location when it's already part of your job responsibility. You know what I'm getting at there?
So are you talking about how do we get our staff accountable?
Yep. Is that a culture issue? Is it?
Oh, well, I guess I honestly don't know. Don't know how to answer that, but I guess one thing that our communications director does is he sends he puts it on Facebook. It's in the paper. I can't fix
Puts what in the paper?
just any of these notices, to report potholes or whatever whatever concerns are.
And maybe we're not getting people to report those.
You're right.
Is what you're getting at. Like
Yeah.
maybe our citizens aren't saying that we have a pothole here.
So
Right.
what he was trying to get at is maybe the streets division should maybe see that those potholes, like instead of having them reported. I get there's only so many.
There's
of them.
only so many guys and so
Yeah.
many vehicles to get around.
Right. That's what he was kind of getting at.
Yeah,
I think,
I knew that's what it was with accountability, but honestly,
it's tough.
I think we have a great staff.
Okay.
I mean, all division wide.
Yeah. And maybe we need and that'd be a good thing to get out there. Maybe we just need a better. I don't live in Norfolk. I actually live in Battle Creek, but maybe, and it's kind of the same thing everywhere. Is like if you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, or the loud mouth, the loud person is what gets fed. So maybe we need people to be a little bit louder to.
Just more city.
Let us know
city
that this is our
involvement.
problem.
People in the city need to report things more often.
Having some
Instead of just bitching at a private party where maybe you were there, so it ended up being all right to let it happen or get fixed. But if we're just bitching amongst friends and none of us can fix the problem,
but nobody let us know either.
Right,
that's my point.
That's the thing. Yeah,
we need to get somebody
more people need to be accountable in the city of their own area too.
Yeah.
go to your guy, or maybe we need to better. And that's what we're trying to. Hopefully, we're doing here is get people involved. And
It sounds like it. I've seen definitely more potholes getting fixed.
Our street department is
Busy all the time.
the best that I can remember it.
Yeah. Kind of moving on. What are your thoughts on the Johnson's Park project? With 65% of the project being funded outside of the city, do you think it was worth doing?
I do think it's worth doing. As a citizen, I had my doubts. It was in progress when I got on, and the more I learned about it, I think what it shows, and Monday night was a prime example, and in a couple of weeks it's going to be another prime example. But what has been done to Johnson's Park has brought in a developer that's willing to drop $32 million on the corner of First and Norfolk Avenue because of the investment that we as a city put in, and we didn't fund all of it. I mean, it was donations, It was grants. So I don't know how we can argue when a developer that wants to drop $32 million says, "Hey, if you guys want to put this investment in, I wouldn't have looked at you again."
Do you think we're going to have enough people to fill those spaces that he's going to develop?
I'm not on the ED subcommittee, so I don't know exactly what his storefronts are.
He's doing apartments too, right?
Yep. Okay. There's 130 apartments or living spaces. I'm not exactly sure what he's trying to capture. I know there's going to be he's wanting to capture some restaurants. But if you go to Omaha, how many times have you walked downtown, or you've walked in, and I'm drawing a blank on the strip mall there by Shields off of Dodge Street.
Village Point?
Village Point, thank you. But how many times have you walked through there and you have actually seen a store and be like, wow, I would have never thought about that. That's pretty cool. We should go in there.
Yeah, I suppose.
And I'm hoping that's what we're going to draw.
That's definitely how downtown's turned out. We walked downtown, and I went into Sixpence the other day, the gift store.
Yeah.
I hadn't been in there ever, and walked out of there with some things. So, I mean, it's kind of cool to walk downtown and just kind of pop into places.
Yeah.
So if that turns out to be the way, I'm just more worried about filling those apartments, depending on how much the cost is going to be. We were just talking about housing, and that's really my only.
The way I understood it to be is there's going to be some higher end homes, and then there's going to be some more workforce.
Gotcha.
Homes. So I think you kind of fit everybody's, budget, if you can safely say that.
Because it'd be kind of neat for some of the college kids to be able to walk downtown from there and things like that too, right? The younger generation.
Yeah. Just think about that though, is if you had, if you were living there or you were living in the new Wayne State houses and you were here and you didn't have a car, everything is within a walking distance. You got a grocery store,
Right.
you got you got restaurants, you got bars, you got what you need. And for those occasions that area of town doesn't have what you need, we got, and I know it's under scrutiny, but we have public transportation. Like,
We'll get into that in a little bit.
I mean, like, where would have you thought that our public transportation would be? Unfortunately, major setback.
Yeah. Do you think any other parks need looked at besides that? Do you think there's some
Yeah.
parks that need a little more tender
I do.
TLC?
I do. I think Central Park needs it.
Yeah.
I think Central Park needs it. I actually had somebody comment over the summer is that it's full of sandbars. Okay, noted. You can see that there's work being done. They're putting an irrigation system in right now. Once you get an irrigation system and you get it seeded correctly, you fertilize regularly. I don't know if we have really ever regularly fertilized our parks.
Right.
But not to the extreme you take care of your own lawn, but to the extreme that you are taking care of this, we can suppress, those unwanted vegetations.
Right.
In all honesty, I mean, that kind of baffles me that we haven't been doing that at all.
Right.
I mean, to me, that's cheap maintenance. It's even cheaper than the irrigation side of it. Like,
Right.
You can control that stuff with hoses and sprinklers and high school help, like summertime help. I know maybe we can't get them or whatever, but it's doable. I mean, we can fix this on a summertime budget, in my opinion. Like, I get it. It's good to have irrigation. I hate pulling hoses on my lawn at my house, but I do it. But you can do it. And a little bit of spraying, a little bit of fertilizer will take care of a lot of that.
And maybe some of the spraying side of things. Maybe we didn't have staff that was able to be an applicator, through the Department of Ag.
Yeah.
Maybe that wasn't a requirement. I'm not real sure on that, but
They just changed the age on that too recently.
did they?
Mm-hmm.
But you don't
I
really
think I still have mine though.
Yeah, you don't really have to have you just have to have somebody in your department that can handle that. Like, you can have your full-time guy should have that. Whoever's in charge of your parks department should probably be that person, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But
Do you think that when they had the Tahoe ball fields stuff in the yes vote, do you think that still needs looked at? Is that still being looked at?
I do. I still think it needs to be looked at. I didn't realize until I talked to others in other communities what the economic impact is if we were to have ball fields. And I'll use Hastings for an example. You can go there on any given weekend with their softball fields. Their hotels are full, and they're not they're not the $109 a night. They're they're in the 200s. They're close to it. So how many people are on a softball team? Is there 9?
It's 9 or more, probably.
Okay. So if you have a baseball team or a softball team that's there for a tournament, so obviously you have lots of kids playing or even church leagues playing for whatever they would like, and then they go out to eat. So you stay there for a weekend. It's probably 5 meals that they're spending in Norfolk. Again, hotels occupants are occupied. There's a lot of sales tax coming from out of town. Mm-hmm. And I know one of the things was that we were going to try to do that bond with the sales tax, and it was, it'll never make it. It'll never, they'll never pay that back. But I got a family of 6, including myself, and you don't go out to eat for $150. Mm-hmm. So our little piece of the pie on the sales tax, we could have paid that back quicker than what we were projected.
A lot of people thought, I think the ball fields were fine. It was more the infrastructure that was going to go around it, right? That was the important piece, locker rooms, things like that. Or
we just approved locker rooms to go out for invitation to bid on Monday night.
Okay, so it's going through.
It's going through. I think
I think the argument to that is then we didn't need the yes vote.
To what extreme?
I mean, you're already doing it.
Well,
Right.
the yes vote was there was really something in it for everybody. So we had our police department. We had funds set aside if that would have passed for streets.
Yep.
And then we had the aquatic center and Taha. And I truly think the police station needs addressed. I think we have a citizens review committee that's getting ready that they're formulating how to help fund this and how to pay for a police station. I hope we see it on the ballot in November. The ball fields, I think we did not capture outside people to help fund that with a sales tax bond. I think what killed us in that vote yes was the aquatic center.
I would completely 100% agree with you.
And I don't know if I should say this on this podcast, but I guess if you were going to ask me personally, I'd answer this way. We have a Class A school, and we use the YMCA for our swim team. Randy Hagedorn is a great community partner. And who's our next community partner? I don't know. It's from the YMCA. What happens when they say, no, you know what? You're on your own. Mm-hmm. So we could have paid for an aquatic center through sales tax, but now the school is going to scramble and they're going to say, hey, we need to build our own aquatic, we need to build our own swimming pool for tournaments. And the only way they get it is through property tax.
Right.
That's how they get their funding. So I think it was a way not to increase property taxes, but I think if the school goes down that road, I think that's probably how they are going to have to do it or increase their levy.
Right.
And then having a roof over it, it's a year round. You guys have heard that, and I don't hear it anymore. And I got kids from 14 to 5 that I'm bored. I don't hear that anymore, but I can remember being a kid and being like, man, there's nothing to do. I'm bored. Well, if you weren't going to the Y, you could go to this aquatic center and you could enjoy the aquatic center. And that's a great place for a family to go on a cold Sunday afternoon.
Yeah. I think a lot of it was that the Y was there, and maybe it's not big enough anymore. I was drawn back by the location maybe a little bit. And I know we wanted it by the school, but I didn't think that was really the right location in my opinion, but
I've heard that comment before. So if I could ask, where would the right location be?
Now, see, I don't have an answer for that. Maybe I don't know, on the outskirts of town, maybe, which would be farther from the high school. I get that, yeah. Which would be tough, but then you put one on the west side of town, and then the east says, well, that's too far for me, and vice versa. Right.
So when you say the outskirts of towns, is there an ideal location?
No,
there's not.
No.
And I think the positive to where it was projected to be built was it was already city-owned property. We didn't have to attain any more property for it.
Right, that makes sense.
So I think just going back to this yes vote thing, I think we as a nation, there seems to be a big push that we want our federal government, our congressmen, everything to get more to a single issue vote type deal. And we're not doing it at a local level. We're putting a bunch of stuff together. Why do we expect our federal people to not abide by what we're doing here at the local level? Maybe we need to be on a single issue voting type of deal like that. What is it? What's the difference? So we're just voting 6 different times for yes, no, as opposed to, because I know some people will look at it, they're like, well, I want to support this, but I don't want to support this, or I want to support this, but I don't want to support this. And maybe you could get some of that stuff passed, and some of it you just try again later.
And that's fair. When you talk about the local level, you're talking about putting things in bills. So
yep.
So you're saying we did not trim the fat when we threw it.
I mean, threw 5 or 6 things together. Right. When we're mad at our federal department for throwing 700, which I know it's a different ball game.
Right. But if you look at public surveys, there's been a desire for the police station. Our roads needed attention. You have your groups that use the fields, and they know what we could have because of the other communities they visit.
Yep.
And then you have the aquatic center that'd be open year round. So I guess when they when that was put together, the mindset was there was something in it for everybody when you looked at those surveys.
Yeah.
So maybe they should have been split, but if there's something in it for everybody, and I guess we know how it turned out, so maybe we should have split it.
Hindsight's 2020.
Is it better to go 0-6 or go 3-3? Right. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm playing devil's advocate a little bit.
No,
here.
I understand that. And maybe we should have split them up. And I know, talking to certain generations, they said those are needs and those are wants. We need to focus on our needs. Yep. And I think maybe that was a mindset to a lot of people that weren't into the aquatic side of things or weren't into the ball fields.
Mm-hmm. It wasn't in my vote. I'm not here. I've already told you that, but I was against it. I just basically, it's too much stuff at one time. Like
at one time,
it's you look at something like that. Me personally, if somebody's trying to throw a bunch of stuff into one thing, I'm always gonna vote no, because I just don't. We don't need to do that. Let's split it up. I'm that way. I've always been that way. It's just like, let me vote on one single thing, and we'll go from there.
Okay, that's fair.
I just have always felt that way. So just a little bit of constructive criticism.
And it's probably because of the federal government hiding a bunch of stuff in bills, and I'm sure the
people aren't trusting.
People aren't trusting when it comes to big things like this. So I get both sides of it, but I get you guys are trying to get something done all at once, and I get it. But moving on a little bit, while we are developing downtown, do you feel that the rest of the town is kind of getting overlooked? To give you an example, kind of like the mall might be getting overlooked, but like Benjamin and downtown infrastructure is getting.
I'll start.
Or other parts of town.
Yeah, I'll start at the mall. When I was a kid, that's where you went. That's where you went and walked around. That's where you went and did your shopping. That's where you went and hung out in the winter. Do I think it's been neglected? Again, that's private development.
Right. Yep.
So it's hard to say, but we have.
That was just an example. That's probably a bad example.
But we have a developer from Florida. He's came. I've spoke to him several times. He's came to council meetings. He's started with the redevelopment of the mall, and nearing phase 1, he realizes that and that's unfortunately for him, that's when like interest rates had increased and everything, and he asked for tips. So are we ignoring them? I don't think we're ignoring that.
Right.
Because
and that was probably a bad example.
We did approve a $3.5 million TIF project.
Right. So that's my fault. I should have said something different. Like maybe other parts of town too. I don't know. I guess maybe getting overlooked with the downtown infrastructure, but maybe not.
I feel like we hear from people.
Yeah.
Quiet murmurs that
and
people
it may
feel
not be
like
in your ward either.
Yeah.
Things like down by the depot, that area.
I don't even think it's anything specific like that. People just see a lot of money going into downtown.
Yeah, I guess that's right.
And they feel like, and maybe they're not even getting neglected. They just seem to visually feel they're getting neglected.
And I can understand that. And it does look like there's a lot of money going to the downtown. Also on that other side, Ward 4 is having regular community meetings to help solve some issues.
That was another bad example, because I know Andrew's on top of it.
Yeah, absolutely, he is. So I don't think that's being neglected. Is my side of town being neglected? Is my ward being neglected? You know what? I can't. Nobody said to me is like, man, you guys are not putting any money into Ward 1.
Right.
Nobody's came and said that. And maybe you mentioned Benjamin for a minute.
I just said that because that was another focus.
Yeah,
the focus of Benjamin in downtown. But it was needed. I get it.
You know what? I know it's a around a $13 million project, but since the driving lanes have been open, the project still is not completed. Mm-hmm. Overdue. But I've never once heard somebody said, man, I hate Benjamin. I wish it was the way it was before, and we had potholes where we didn't even need speed limit signs because you could never go 35 miles an hour anyways. So I've never heard that. I guess the complaint that I have heard is that did we really need all the facade improvements?
Yeah, that was
That's been brought up a lot.
It's been brought up a lot. The facade improvements. Is there going to be looking at updating the rest? Like, I know it's commercial development, not anything to do with you guys, but is there thoughts of updating the facades of some of the businesses there, some of the buildings? Some of the older buildings, I guess, because we're updating the street facade, the light facade, all the sidewalks and stuff.
You're talking on
Benjamin. So like the strip malls, right there. Up.
I would say the developer of the strip mall put a pretty hefty investment in by putting an all new parking lot in.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that was a pretty hefty investment on his behalf. Mars Body Shop they really redid the front of that. Nick did a great job with that.
Yeah.
The strip mall to the west of that,
that one's good. Yeah.
I think that's okay.
Yeah.
The physical therapy I think is okay. I kind of and honestly, I grew up on my backyard was on Benjamin where I grew up. I would have liked to seen, just because I know what it was like growing up there, and it was never terrible by any means. Right. But I think we could have done a little bit more for those homeowners. Yeah. Losing some more property, and maybe, like when you go down interstate, maybe we could have gave them some sound barrier wall. But I don't know how, I don't ever recall being awake at night because Benjamin was so busy either. Yeah. And I don't know if it's changed since I haven't lived there in 30 years, but
it's probably a little busier, like maybe not too late at night, but I wouldn't see it be a huge problem. But with the facade improvements, I've gotten some heat on the facade improvements too, that Benjamin is, but outside of Highway 275, outside of Highway 81, what's your main fare through Norfolk? Well, probably Benjamin's. Yeah. Benjamin. So let's showcase what we have. Let's showcase what we got. I think it's kind of like putting art on your walls, and you want to make it a welcoming, make your home welcoming with art on the walls. Why not? Right. Why not make it a little bit nicer and say, hey, this is a good place to be. Right. Makes sense. Going back to the TIF, what are your thoughts on tax increment financing as a whole?
Yeah, as a whole, I think it's a great economic tool. I'll tell you where I really do like TIF to be used. I like to see it in projects. Not only will we, when the TIF bond is paid back, that we see the increase in property tax value. I really like TIF where it is used, where we can also collect a sales tax, from day one to the end of it and beyond, to the end of the TIF bond and beyond. I'm very cautious, and I have to think about it an awful lot for housing. When we're putting up affordable, right? Attainable housing. What is attainable housing? Is it a $235,000 house? Is it a $300,000 house? Maybe not for somebody. Maybe they can stretch that out to that $235,000, and that's all they got. But if that's going to be kind of what your guys were saying earlier, if that's going to be us getting away from the apartments, and we're still having a $2,000 house payment, we can pay it to a renter, or we can pay it to live the American dream. I can live with that a lot more than just, hey, it's available, so I'm going to ask for it for residential living.
What my issue with some of it, and that's not really an issue, it's just why would the city push to blight a high value property for TIF?
Because the developer asked.
Right. Okay.
Because the developer asked.
I don't know.
I know.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but one of the issues that I do have with like what you're talking about, residential TIFing,
Yeah, or even if it's blighting a commercial area too.
So I know if you look at how it is designed at the state level, you look at the boundary lines, right? But as a common sense person, why am I blighting grass over here or weeds over here, or something that used to be a pasture, and I get a picture of some trash or some concrete that's piled up there, and there's some dirt work that needs to be done. Why am I getting a picture, and why is that blighted? Well, it meets the criteria. Why is it meet? But in the background, there's a $750,000 house over there. Really, but that's not part of it. You shouldn't be looking at that. No, that's where my common sense comes in. Man, why are we blighting property up to a $750,000 home or $500,000 homes? I don't think it's right.
Yeah, that's what I was.
That's our.
That's what I'm asking. Is why would we want to?
Right.
Okay.
How do we fight that? Is there a way to fight that? Does it? Because I know you said it's a state level deal.
Yes.
They give you that
criteria.
ability, but so then is the argument we on the local level? Yeah, we understand we can do it, but we just take a stand and determine it's morally wrong, so we're not going to do it. You know what I mean? Like, how do we change it at this point?
Well, I think you change it with a vote. I think you change it at the vote at the local level. We had a developer come in that wanted to develop some property just on the west side of town, and it got denied. I think everybody probably realized that it fit the bill at the state level or the criteria, but it didn't fit everything else.
Right.
Is everything on TIF up for a vote, or do
Yeah.
you guys choose that?
No, if it's in a blighted substandard area and the developer asks for a TIF application, in order to get approved, it has to go through council. So it is.
But it's your guys' vote.
It's our vote.
It's not a citizen's vote.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's okay.
I looked in a little bit into the micro TIF.
Yeah.
Right. Has that been used quite a bit in town?
I think we've used it one time.
Okay.
I think we've used it one time.
I was wondering. It was on the city website. I didn't even know it was a thing until we started looking into doing these interviews.
For a small business, I think on a micro TIF, I think you can ask for up to $350,000. Man, I'll tell you what. If I was starting a small business, I'd seriously look at it.
Because it's pushed through a lot faster, right?
Yeah.
Is how it really works.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought. Okay.
And what's the difference? Can you explain it just a little bit? I guess I didn't look into it.
You can pull it up, Ryan, if you want. If you can get it over there. Is that the micro TIF part? Okay.
Yep.
Micro TIF is an expedited process with the same intent as TIF, provide a means of encouraging private investment in deteriorating areas by devoting all property tax revenue. Okay. Where does it talk about the shorter? It's a longer time period, right?
TIF is up to 15 years.
Okay.
For repayment.
Okay. Sure. So that's kind of the difference there, I guess.
But it says $350 for a project involving single-family residential structure.
Right.
$1.5 million for a project involving multifamily, and then up to $10 million for revitalization of a structure, including something on National Registry.
Gotcha.
Okay.
It was very interesting to me when I was looking all that up. I was like, I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah.
We can stop talking about TIF. I know people want to hear it, but not a whole lot. Do you know much about the EPIC option? I don't want to get into it if you don't know much about it, because I don't know a whole lot about it. We can talk about it a little bit.
I have my own opinion on it.
Let's hear it.
I think it sounds great to give property tax relief. I don't think it's realistic.
Okay. Do you have a reason why?
What is on the EPIC tax property relief? What is the amount that is going to be that is going to be straight across the board? I think it's being approached at like 7%.
It's 7 or 8%. I think 8%. I think is so only on new goods at a rate below 8% is what it says.
Okay, so who collects that money? The state.
Yep.
This is maybe this is me being cautious, but so the state collects that money. Where does the money end up staying?
Right.
Because I don't think we'll ever get. Like right now, we have local control of our property taxes
Right.
in Madison County.
Right.
I don't think we're going to have. We would lose that control, and it'd be up to Lincoln to go ahead and distribute where they feel it'd be necessary. I feel.
Yeah, I feel like they're trying to make it look really pretty,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm scared of it.
And I think 7% is really short.
Yeah, and I mean I love the eliminate double taxation. I love the inheritance, corporate, all that kind of stuff. But it just still scares me a little bit.
Yeah, I would agree.
Do you have any thoughts on that? The EPIC option?
I guess I've kind of always been on. I understand the concept of we lose tax revenue, but maybe we need to spend less money. Maybe we need to maybe we need to take some pain and stop spending money on a governmental level across the board.
Okay.
That's always been my argument on everything. Is like, I get, well, we're going to lose tax revenue. Well, maybe we need to stop. Maybe we need to at some point bring a budget down, as opposed to increasing a budget every year. And then I do like the I don't think that the EPIC is perfect, because I don't really think it's perfect, but I do think that the property tax needs to start, everybody else needs to start paying a little more money. I think maybe we need grocery taxes. Maybe we need consumption taxes. I mean, the difference on that is everybody's paying taxes. When you have a bunch of land, you're the only one paying the taxes in certain districts. You're footing
True.
the bill for everybody else if you're a large landowner, as opposed to
True,
somebody renting.
But
They're not paying much tax at all, really.
True, but you're a large landowner. Congratulations, I'm not. Shouldn't you pay a little bit more than me?
Maybe
You own
maybe.
more than I do.
Well, I don't think anybody should pay any taxes. That's my opinion. But I'm saying, why is somebody not paying grocery taxes? Why do we not have grocery tax? Everybody has to eat. If we're all in it together, everybody's got to pay something.
That's right. I do agree with that. Everybody does eat.
And I think that's kind of where this started. I think that's kind of where they started. And I'm not saying it's perfect. I don't really know. I don't even know how I'll vote on this thing. I haven't dove into it. But I like the concept. We got to find some way that everybody's paying something. And a grocery consumption tax is a real quick way to do it. It's a I wouldn't say quick way, but it's getting closer to a fair way to do it.
But not perfect.
It's not. No, I don't think it's perfect.
Moving on to the police station. We talked about it already, but they're adding 8,000 square feet. I think it's a good idea. Do we know or have an idea how the money's coming differently than before? Like in the yes vote, is it a different avenue that the money's coming from?
So there is I think there's six citizens, maybe seven, that have been asked or tasked with how to fund the police station, how to get this on the ballot. What are the avenues? Not knowing or not hearing all of them, or really any of them. Mm-hmm. I think they've been tasked with something difficult, and to my knowledge is that I think they're getting ready to share this at the next city council meeting.
That's awesome.
I think the people that were chosen are outside the box thinkers, and I think it'll be very interesting on how to hear.
Might have to come to that one.
Yeah, you might.
Yeah.
And I have my thought on the police station is that I took a tour of the police station, and what I saw was I had no idea how much they have to store and for how long. It might be a lifetime. My question is the ask big enough for all the things they have to store?
You don't think it's enough?
I don't think it's a big enough building.
Store like what do you mean by store?
Evidence.
Yeah, that's what I figured you were going at. Yeah.
I use this because I can relate to this, but do they need a separate building elsewhere to store evidence?
Just a big old warehouse.
Just a big warehouse, a big Morton building or something.
I'd be curious to know what the longevity of that is supposed to be. They have to keep it for so long or whatever.
Yeah, they said they've had evidence in there for.
Because you almost have to for if it's a cold case type thing or.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't even have. We got bicycle cops, but we don't even have enough. We don't even have the space to store the bicycles. It's in a staircase. It's sad, and with the way the police station is right now, I do agree with Chief Miller that it's hard to recruit. We're a few officers down. It's hard to recruit when you can go 45 miles south here and go to Columbus and it's got a brand new, beautiful, police station. Maybe that's what they're looking for. So I do believe it's hard to recruit, and the way our police station is now, it doesn't help us in recruiting. But unfortunately, law enforcement across the board, federally, locally, is a problem because of some of the things that have been done on the national level.
Yeah.
And in January, I was down in Texas, El Paso, Texas, and talked to the Border Patrol. They have problems, like employment problems. Like they can't get officers. One officer during his shift is responsible for 50 miles. So if I was on one end of my 50 miles and you were on the end of your 50 miles,
right?
And we're not talking about we're going to jump on the interstate. I mean, it's
right.
It's pretty rough terrain.
Right.
It might be 10 hours before I come see you. Sorry,
right.
So I think if our police station could help with recruiting, could help with some of our weight room, could help with some of our evidence, could help with keeping our police vehicles inside ready to go, I think would be more than beneficial to our community.
I agree with you. I think that's definitely one of the ones I was for sure.
Yeah.
Glad to see it's coming to fruition. Can you give us some thoughts? We talked about this a little bit earlier. Can you give us some thoughts on how the oversight of the Norfolk Transit is being handled, or how do you think it should be handled?
I think it's being handled a lot better than it was. Unfortunately, there was some theft, and there was some maybe too much trust, and I think that's probably the position we are in, and maybe we should have had closer oversight on the transit. However, you like it, don't like it. Our citizens need transit. Like it's truly a need. I didn't realize until you have people call, and when we approved a 1-year contract with transit, I had a gal call me and she says, "Man, thank you. This is the only transportation I got," and it really makes you think back. Okay, so when transit had to stop because of the theft that was there, what did you do? How did you get groceries? How did you go to the pharmacy? I mean, how did you, and I see it every day. The Norfolk Transit in front of the middle school.
Yep.
I see a Norfolk Transit in front of the Woodland Park where my oldest daughter goes to school.
Yep.
Obviously there's a need for it because those parents have probably been to work for hours. Maybe they went and drove down to Tyson.
Right.
And those kids have to get themselves to school, and that's what they rely on.
Right.
So, bad circumstances, positive though. I mean, positive community outcome for it.
Do you know if all the board members were retained on that?
I believe we have changed a majority of the board members.
Okay, that was one. I didn't know for sure. I hadn't heard anything on that. That was one question I definitely wanted to ask.
I think Jared Faltis is taking care of the finances and the taxes.
Sounds good to me.
Right.
That's actually who I was assuming was probably going to take it over.
Yeah, and I think he's doing a good job. And
that's good.
And I talk to Councilman Webb fairly often. He's on that board as well, and he kind of fills me in what's going on because
good.
I will be honest that I was really gun shy after the theft had taken place, and he's like, no, like we're on the right track, so it makes you feel a lot better. And
there is an obvious need for it, as you talked about. Do you think there is another way to handle it besides doing that? Do you think or do you think we have a good spot in place or a good thing in place now?
Well, transit is not owned by the city of Norfolk,
right?
So I think our partnership with them is paramount. But I would like to see other businesses that use that
contribute.
Yeah. I know Northeast Community College contributes. I can drive by there. I can go to work and I can see a transit van or a bus sitting outside. So I know the Northeast has contributed, and that was a big thing. But I think there's a lot of other major community players that could contribute.
Okay.
So has there ever been any conversations about that? Has that been brought up?
Oh yeah,
to people?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I just didn't know if maybe the chamber or something like that could relay that to their or Better Business Bureau or something.
Well, gosh, I think it's Great Dane over in Wayne. has
They
seen
have a
the
contract
need for
with
it. Yeah.
Is there still a whole bunch of buses that aren't being used or vehicles that aren't being used? Because I know that was a thing at a time.
Yeah, there's some.
Okay.
Some of them I don't know why. I'm not on the board, but yeah, there's some buses that aren't being used, and some of them might be maybe they're just simply broke down. Don't have enough drivers.
Yep. That's kind of what I'm getting at. Is there room for more passengers for these companies so Tyson does their own bus. I've seen their bus come from Norfolk to Madison.
Okay.
They have their own thing.
They were partnering with the transit at one time.
Maybe that has changed. Maybe
it has changed.
I don't know. I guess I haven't seen the bus for a while, but I know at one point they had a bus, literally just a white bus, said Tyson, Norfolk to Madison, back and forth. So I didn't know. Maybe they are using Norfolk Transit now, which would be new to me. Like, that's good to hear.
I think they were at one time.
Okay,
That's good to hear.
And then, I mean, I work out at Norfolk Ryne Metal. Maybe there's something that we could work on out there. I mean, Nucor's got a distance,
Right.
stuff like that. I didn't the crush plant coming too. I mean, that's you got shifts. You could do a bus every shift from a certain location, something like that.
And for those companies that you mentioned, and I would be one of them, and I asked a question. I'm not really comfortable. I know there's a need, so I voted for to do this last donation or contribute to the transit service because I knew there was a need for it. The need was greater than the money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And as a private donation from a company like you mentioned, until the court case is settled, I would have a hard time. I would have a hard time donating.
Gotcha.
Because I don't know, because that might have been.
But to me, I don't look at it as a donation. If you could get a group of people together to create a co-op, basically, for a contract, and you're going to provide us this service for our employees for this amount of time.
Right, but what happens when it shuts down again? You know what I'm saying?
Well, then at least you have a contract.
I think the oversight's a lot better than it was.
Yeah.
Do you know if Uber and Lyft are allowed in Norfolk? Is there a city ordinance against that? Do you know?
I don't know, but I don't know.
Okay, I didn't know for sure. I had heard that before, but I thought I had seen Uber and Lyft in town, so I don't know for sure. So I guess that's something I can look into, or you can look into, whatever you want.
I don't know. Maybe I should.
Yeah. Gonna move on a little bit. Do you feel that we have an aging demographic in Norfolk?
Doesn't every community?
Yeah. How can we make sure we have the population growth in the future to support some of these things that we're doing?
I think we can. I think we want to work on workforce housing, show good employment, have good paying jobs. I mean, once people get in here, they found that good paying job, they found that house, they found that apartment, they found the lifestyle, and they start growing roots here. What's that do for the next generation?
Right.
They'll stay. They'll stay, but if we don't have anything to offer them, such as a job, pretty important that I'm going to be moving on.
I did hear a few people had told me that we did have an aging demographic, and then I did the research, and they didn't really show that. Can you pull up the demographics real fast? They were like, it was like a big piece of it was over 65 or over 55, whatever it was, and then we pulled it up.
We kind of didn't feel like,
and I didn't
really
feel so. Persons 65 and over, it was only 16%. So I didn't think the demographics matched what some people were telling me.
Okay.
So I wanted to ask the question just to see what your thoughts were, but I think we're actually gearing in the right direction, in my opinion.
I will say that my age, I think my age from 25 to 45, I think we have a lot more growth in that population than we have in a lot of years.
Well, I agree.
We had our little conversation, and I felt the same way.
Yeah.
I thought our age, there's a lot more people than
and
I
this
thought.
is right off the census website, and it doesn't even show that age range on there.
Yeah,
it goes from under 18, and then up to person 65 and over. So we don't even get that middle piece. We had to do some math.
And I said we did the math in between.
Yeah, and it's a large number. So I'm like, I feel like we're in a good spot.
Yeah.
But I wanted to see what your thoughts were before I brought.
Because I've heard the same thing about a lot of people complaining about an aging demographic, and when we looked the numbers up, I didn't see it, and I visually don't feel that way.
I don't.
Like walking around, the amount of people I see, or I just don't feel that way. Yeah. But I could be wrong.
And there's a pretty diverse age on the council, even, isn't there?
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, to an extent.
Yeah, to an extent.
And maybe people had seen that before, and maybe at one time it was an older generation on the council, and maybe that's what they were thinking as, or maybe they'd see. I don't know. I don't know what they see, but
I guess I mean, those that are on the council right now, and I know there's 4 of us up for re-election. I think we get a lot of good. I think we get a lot of good from each other, and I think we work well together, because we all have a different view or a different aspect, and so I think that's huge. I guess age. I guess I haven't really thought about. I
don't think about it either. People say it to us, and we try to ask some of the questions that get asked to us when we bring you guys in here. But I didn't think it was that way. So
I guess I don't think it's about the age.
Yeah, it's just a number, right?
That's right.
How can Norfolk stay competitive with other communities for new business, innovation, public safety, population size? And this is kind of a weird question because we kind of talked about some of this, but as a whole, how can we stay competitive?
Well,
you brought up Columbus. That's
Yeah. Well, if right now, I think one way to stay competitive, and we kind of talked about this with Johnson's Park, but we need to be active on looking at grants to be able to attract a new business or be able to attract a new, venue in town. Something that's there for the greater population, and let businesses know that we're open for business. We want you to come here. If we don't let them know, where are they going to go? Not here.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
You okay with taking a quick pause?
Sure.
Stretch a little bit. Get a bathroom break in.
Yep.
All right, we are back. Had to take a little pee. You know me. About an hour in, I gotta go to the bathroom. But kind of diving right back in, what do you like about what has been done in Northeast Nebraska, and what do you feel can be done better? And what I mean by that is like how Norfolk is the hub for Stanton, Madison, Pierce, Battle Creek. The changes that get done in Norfolk, how do you think that affects the surrounding communities?
Well, for Norfolk, having I think our population grows during the day. Yeah. You coming from Battle Creek,
Oh, we're a bedroom. I've said for a long time we're a bedroom community to Norfolk.
Yeah.
I mean,
I would say it doubles.
80% of the people in Battle Creek
maybe not double.
Go to work in Norfolk.
Right.
Maybe not 80, 75 though, I bet.
Yeah. So I got people that I know coming from Stanton, Pierce. I know I'm reaching here about Osmond and we obviously have some population going down to Madison, but I know people from Madison drive up here too.
Oh yeah.
So what's our growth with the other communities surrounding us? One, we've given them more options. We've given them, and what I mean by that is that if they're people that go out to eat for lunch, they have a lot of options.
Yep.
Let's pick up this at Hy-Vee or Lou's before we go home for groceries. Instead of going home, why don't you tell your spouse, why don't you come up here and we'll go shopping and then we'll get a bite to eat. So I think our positive growth truly impacts those other communities, and they're spending their money here. So I think it's a plus for us what we've and what I mean by that is that we've shown them that we're open and we like it when you come here.
Right.
Do you keep that in your mind? I know it's you're competing towns. All towns are technically competing, but do you keep that in mind when you make decisions that we affect smaller communities?
Oh, well, that's good. That's
what I mean? Like, because you talk about they come spend the money here. So, like, when we make our decisions here in Norfolk, that could affect Pierce, Battle Creek, Stanton, Madison.
No doubt about it. So I work with some individuals that are my friends, and they live in Stanton, they live in Battle Creek, they live in Pierce. So when we make a decision, I hear about it right away. I hear about it the next day. I hear about it.
Because we don't have that vote.
Right.
We don't have standing basically. So it does affect us.
Yeah.
So I just didn't know if that was ever, if you thought about that when that happened, when you make decisions.
And sometimes, you're right. Before you make a decision, if it's a pressing something, well, what are you going to do about this, or how are you going to vote on this? Well,
Yeah.
that's that's a fine line.
Because you have to do what's best for you
Right.
here in Norfolk.
But-
That's your constituent.
But I do appreciate your opinion, because I may have not thought about it quite like you did, but because of how you thought about it, you presented it to me, then that does make me think, okay, if I heard it once, it's not
one person.
not one person.
Right. That's
cool.
good. Nice way to think about it.
I like that you've that's crossed your mind before.
Yeah.
So it's good. It's good to hear, and from somebody that doesn't. I don't live in Norfolk, so it's good to hear that.
Yeah.
Do you think that you have the ability to bridge the gap between businesses, community organizations, and residents to serve the needs of everybody?
Explain that one just a little bit further.
So, it's kind of going back to the businesses downtown are trying to bring in new businesses, and maybe some of the residents don't think that's necessary. So how
Downtown residents, or
just in general, how some of the residents might not think some of those are needed, and some of the community organizations, do you have the ability to bridge the gap between the residents that might be unhappy and the businesses, and how everybody can kind of work together?
As far as the residents that maybe wouldn't be happy, I'd like to know why they're not happy. What is bothersome to newer developments, or to new developments, and people coming in and utilizing downtown. I would like to know why.
Yeah.
Without knowing why, it's kind of a throwing darts at the wall kind of thing.
Right. That's a tough one. That's a tough question.
I think kind of more another way to word it, or like kind of to give some context, is what we've heard is there's definitely people that feel, and I'm not saying I agree with people, but there's people that feel like there's a classist system being forced into Norfolk, maybe. Like the business owners are they may feel like they're getting catered to more than somebody that's not a business owner, that's just a worker, just a citizen type of thing.
We've even had that on the podcast.
Yeah,
So
that's kind of where we were.
it's kind of just a city.
We didn't know how to word it really the
Yeah,
right way, and
it's a hard
we don't
question.
even really know what we're asking as much as how do we bridge that gap to where we're really not trying to create a class system here
To
in
give you
Norfolk.
an example, with our podcast, we've interviewed a lot of business owners, and people have asked us, why haven't you ever interviewed an average person? And we have, but, it's just like that kind of thing.
I'm about as average as they come.
I mean, technically you're a business owner.
Yeah.
I am.
So-
But here's
It's a tough one.
it is a tough one, and I don't want to take it just a second so it comes out correctly, but what is wrong with helping our business community? In our business community, what are they paying? They have a lot more at stake.
Yeah.
Than just me as a citizen, and I feel, I guess maybe feels not the word, but maybe we should look at it from a business perspective, is that, hey, I employ, I have a small business, I employ 6 people, or I employ 10 people. I don't think that should be forgotten, and it may look that way, but I don't know if I see that, and we need those. Not everybody's an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm. We talk about that a lot.
Yeah.
Not everybody's an entrepreneur, so I think when you find that entrepreneur, do they give a little bit more? Yeah, I guess they do. Do I see that they get a special treatment? I guess I don't.
Yeah.
I guess I don't see the special treatment.
We don't see it either. It was just some questions that got brought up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I look at it as, what do I want to say? More of an educational issue, not education in the standardized education concept, but more like just more information based. Like, I mean, we're pretty lucky in this region Northeast, and I tend to talk in Northeast Nebraska. That's kind of how I talk because I'm part of the overall community. But I think we're pretty lucky with a lot of our business class. We seem to have people that aren't out there to take advantage. And I think at the boiling point of our nation, a lot of people feel like certain business classes are taking advantage of other people, and maybe they bring it from a national level down and try to put that on our people around here. And I feel like maybe we just need to inform people a little more that, hey, we actually do have a really good business class that want this area to succeed. They are employing people. They're giving people jobs. Giving people it's a word, but I mean they are employing people, and they don't want. Everybody wants to make money, right? Business owner wants to make money. A worker wants to make money, but everybody wants everybody to succeed. Because if you have a failing economy, you're not going to be a good business owner.
Well, from a business owner standpoint, I can agree, or I can see where you're coming from. Is that, do I need to make money? Yeah. I got a lot of overhead. Yeah. I need to make money. Do I want to take advantage of you or anybody else? No, I don't. Truly, in my philosophy is I don't care who you are.
Right.
We're going to do the best job we can, give you the best product that we have available. And I need to treat my employees right too. I mean, because if you can't treat your employees right, you don't have a business.
Exactly. And I think a lot of people miss that part of it. They just feel like they're getting beat down or whatever. And it could be right, it could be wrong, you never know. But like, I just want to try to get that out there that, like, I don't think you guys as a city council, I don't think the community of Norfolk is catering to certain people. I think everybody's got to bring everybody up. And I see that. We just kind of wanted to touch on it because we've heard it.
Well, and me being a business owner too, I have pride in spending my money back into the community.
You aren't kidding.
So, and I know a lot of other business owners are the same way, and I think people forget that point too.
Yep.
So,
yeah, you are exactly right. As being a small business owner, I will spend more to do business locally than go elsewhere.
I say that all the time, and I'm a true believer of that.
Eventually that dollar's coming back in one shape or form back to me. Whether it be relief, whether it be literally, I do work for you, and for my services, you paid me that money back. You know what I'm saying? Is it? I will pay more to do business locally.
I agree with you 100%. So transparency and accountability are very important. What steps would you take to make sure the public is informed, or what already have you done to make sure they're informed?
Well, the transparency question comes up, and I know some people are saying that we need to be more transparent. We need to be more transparent. I would like to know, what part are we not being transparent on? What are you wanting us to be transparent on? Because everything we do is on a public record. Nothing is held behind closed doors. I mean, you can do a citizen's request to get any, subcommittee meetings.
All the minutes are online.
All the minutes, yeah. You can find it. So
you just gotta be able to read it.
So what more transparent do you want? Do you want me to, do you want me to just to say, hey, this is what I'm going to do. This is what you're going to do. I mean, I don't know where we're not transparent.
So I think the biggest thing that maybe people have pushed out there is accessibility to meetings, public forums. Because you guys have some in the day, like middle of the day, or
there was a few. There hasn't. It's been far and few between. I think.
I don't know. I think that's
as far as a council meeting.
Yeah.
The only time there's a special council meeting is at 12 noon.
Okay.
12
That's the only time ever, and I think in 4 years, I think I've probably been to 2 of them.
Okay, that's what
maybe
I knew.
3.
I knew it was far and few between. Are those like emergency meetings?
Those are emergency meetings.
What's your normal meeting? Is it after 5 o'clock?
5:30.
Okay.
5:30 on the first and third Monday of the month. And
so maybe this is another question. I mean, the 5 o'clock job is few and far between anymore. Seems like 6 is more. Okay. 6 seems to be a bigger number of when people are off on a general.
Sure.
consensus. Maybe it's something that people want a little bit later in the night. I know that's difficult on you. You have your own job, and then you have to go do a later meeting and blah, blah, blah and all that. And maybe it's just people aren't feeling like they can make it to a certain meeting.
I do believe that is set by the mayor. The time the council meeting is set by the mayor. I think there's a lot of things that probably go into play. Is, we have city staff there after hours. That are supposed to be there. I think that maybe has something to do with it. I guess I've never had anybody ask me to go ahead until you did. Could we go later?
Yeah,
we've had a few listeners ask that.
That's a good question, and maybe our next mayor can address that.
Yeah.
But I've also been, and this is like when I set aside council meeting day, I literally set aside council meeting day. I go to the college, I do my job, and I know about 4:00 ish. It's buckled down.
Yep.
It's city time. And I need to be ready. I need to be prepared. I've looked at the agenda. I've asked my questions to our staff. So I look at it. I look at it as that's my time to go ahead. But would we get any more people? Here's my question: would we get any more people at the council meeting?
You never know.
I mean, that's the thing.
Some people like to bitch, and it is what it is.
Right.
But then you'll never make everybody happy.
Yeah.
But then on the flip side of that, and so I don't care if the meeting ends at 6:30 or it ends at 10:30. I don't care because that's my council day.
Yeah.
Yep.
But some people might not have that ability. I'm going to play the devil's advocate right now. Some people as an employee don't have that ability just to set that time. You know what I mean?
Well,
like maybe their job won't let them.
Right.
That type of thing. But I'm just spitballing here.
No, and that's fair. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that I know that's my day, and I know that's the time. But so what I'm trying to say is that I don't care what time the meeting gets over.
Yeah,
we were elected to do a job. I'm going to be there till the end. That's what my position is. And
so people can show up later, right?
Yeah.
And then as long as you're there before the meeting's over.
Correct.
The meeting's going to go until you've heard everybody, or I don't know what people are complaining about other than I've heard this. It's one of those things.
And when you say you can't please everybody, so let's just say we did start at 7. We kicked it back an hour and a half, right?
Then you're there till midnight.
Then we're there till midnight. Then they're going to complain that their item agenda wasn't on there earlier.
Yeah, you can't make.
And then they got to be
happy.
up early in the morning.
Yeah.
You can't make everybody happy.
So what would it be if just another idea? What if because you do 2 a month?
We do 2 a month.
What if one's early and one's a little bit later?
I think that'd be mass confusion.
Really?
I would agree too. Keeping it the same time.
Because on the same day, or I thought there was 2 different days.
First and third Monday.
So it's on Monday both times.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Same bat time, same bat place. It's tough to get a whole community. Like I've just noticed, even in our small community, it's tough to get everybody to know certain things are going on, whether it's a council meeting or even just an event in town. It's just tough to get out to everybody.
Right.
So. And then, like I said, you can't please everybody.
Yeah, you can't.
And then somebody's gonna complain about something.
Yeah.
But it's just people bring it up, and we thought we'd bring it up.
I'm glad it gets brought up, but maybe the next mayor should look at moving it back a half hour.
Yeah.
Get it to 6.
Yeah.
Just to see, and you might not get anybody more, but
maybe not change a thing.
Yeah. Do you feel, and you've kind of touched on this, but do you feel that Norfolk is heading in the right direction, and where do you see the city in 5 to 10 years?
Oh, I see it's very progressive, and I see us open for business. I see us.
I like that term you use, open for business. I like that.
I've heard that from Andrew. Said the same thing.
Did he?
When we're hanging out.
We talked to him a lot. Yeah.
You guys will.
We're
Keno.
buddy.
I worked with him at Keno.
Okay.
I've known Andrew for a long time. We used to hang out. Doing real good fun stuff. So.
I feel we're open for business. We're willing to look at somebody who wants to invest in our town, and we're willing to invest in them to invest in our town, because the payback, even jobs, secondary jobs and so on, like we talked a little bit ago, but helping them maybe find if they're an industrial customer, let's just say, maybe helping them find the right location. Maybe they want to be close to industrial highway. Maybe they want to be in a certain spot of town, and we can help. Our economic development can help with that. I think our economic development is very proactive on seeking individuals or companies that want to invest here. So even if we get, let's just say in the next 10 years, because that was kind of your question, even if we get three companies in the next 10 years, and they all have combined 100 jobs, that's 100 more people to our population. That's 100 more people, maybe in Norfolk, living in Norfolk, maybe living in Battle Creek or elsewhere, but they're driving to Norfolk every day to live here.
Yeah. Yep.
I think I feel that we will be, in a decade, I feel if we keep moving progressively like we are, I feel we will have a population of 30,000. And
Really?
I don't think it's that far off.
What are we technically at right now? Or here in
I
Norfolk?
think it said 24.9.
24.
I think
Or
that's
25?
I think that's an old. I think it's
Is it?
26.
Is it now?
I think.
Okay.
We-
I was going off the 2020. Was it 2022?
Yeah,
maybe
2022.
Okay.
maybe it is then.
And it was 25,928.
25 now.
So 26,000.
Yep,
Yeah.
it's 26.
Yeah, but we have good schools. I don't care if they're parochial or public. We have good schools.
Yep.
I think we're building a unity for everybody. I mean, I think Norfolk has something to offer, something for everybody. And if you just get those industrial jobs, or and this is one that is not talked about, I don't think enough, is our tech jobs.
Yeah, I agree.
Our tech jobs, you can live anywhere.
Yep.
And a lot of times, and you can live anywhere. And guess what? You got this great podcasting room, but at the end of the day, how many people know that you're working from home,
Right.
and you're and that check is coming from out of state or out of town, and you live here and you're investing here. You've got property. You've got the grocery store. Like we talked about.
Yep.
Your restaurants and everything else that goes with living.
I
in
think
the
we have a
community.
lot more work at home people than people actually realize
I do
in
too.
Norfolk. There's a lot more than you think.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. That's kind of all the questions we had specifically from us. We're going to kind of move into the listener questions.
Okay.
So these aren't from us. These are
Sure.
directly off of Facebook, TikTok, all these things. So just we'll preface that with that.
Okay.
First one is, what do you see as the greatest need for Norfolk?
Updating our infrastructure, continually to work hard on our roads. I'm a very infrastructural person, so I see the needs and I see the capabilities.
When you say infrastructure, you're talking just streets,
No,
surface
No,
streets.
he's
or-
talking about the
I'm talking streets.
sewers.
I'm talking our water system. I'm talking our sewer. Even our contract with the Nebraska Public Power District. I mean, everything that our trash service, our solid waste. We have deficiencies in those, but those are the things that your taxes pay for, but you don't maybe realize that there is room for improvement on some of those, or you want to maybe not something you don't like, but we can improve on those. And unfortunately, anything with infrastructure is not cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Is your trash service? Do you pay the city for that, or do you do
No.
that yourself?
Trash services is individual. I think we have five independent carriers in town to pick up trash service.
Do you guys have any agreements with these people? Sit on the city side of it, nothing.
No, to my knowledge, they pay their yearly fee and they collect their business, and they end up cleaning the trash truck out at the transfer station.
Gotcha. So I was just curious because I know Battle Creek. We have one that we pay the city for our trash service
Right.
in Battle Creek. So I didn't know if that was an option here in Norfolk, that if it's ever been put out for a bid for something like that, or
That's
if it's been,
the trash service is kind of a slippery slope, because then you're taking
you'd get rid of 4 people.
Right.
I get that.
And some
I
of them are
just didn't
small
know-
business
Yeah.
owners.
Just didn't know if that was ever thought it looked into to figure that out?
I will tell you, very early on in my first term, it was briefly discussed, and it has been not brought up since then.
Gotcha. I was just curious.
Yeah.
Next question is, are we missing the mark when it comes to caring for citizens? That's a tough one.
Again, an example would be nice, but so that is a tough one.
It is. I know I couldn't really ask them for any follow-up, but if you don't, I mean, I don't feel we're missing the mark caring for citizens.
To me, that question goes back to what we talked about on the business, the classism.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of where that's what when
That's
I read
probably
that,
where they're coming from.
That's
Yeah.
what
Okay.
I see.
So you kind of
is
already answered it.
we've kind of went over that a little bit. And
Okay.
And the next one was about apartments, so we'll skip that because we already kind of talked about the housing. Next one is, what kind of community involvement can we expect from you?
What I'd like to answer with the what do you want.
Right.
The second thing is where do you want me to be?
Right.
Having two jobs, there's a little bit of limiting to it. But if I know about it, I try to make what I can.
You do try to go
I
to
do.
community events
I do.
because that's unpaid time. I mean that's all on you to do stuff like that.
It is.
type of thing.
It is. But if you would want me somewhere you think it's important, man, I would,
communicate,
yeah, I would love for you to reach out and say, Kory, can you make it at this day at this time?
Yeah.
That's kind of been a running theme, is just more communication. If people want things, they just need to communicate it a little more.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of people, and I kind of notice this with people. People just
In a respectful way.
Yeah. I think people just assume that our city councils, our mayors, our people like that just are going to know every single event that's going on and just going to be there. Like you can't. I don't know everything going on. Nobody else. I don't know what's going on in my own calendar. Zach's got to tell me what's going on in my calendar. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I get it.
I mean, if you want me somewhere and you could give me a little heads up, please do.
Yeah.
And I would be more than happy to be involved.
Yeah.
And even if I got to shovel some things around my calendar, I'm all right with that.
Yep.
It's awesome.
I like that a lot. The next one is, are you open to actively showing support to all diverse groups in the community?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't.
These are kind of tough, and I knew they were going to be.
I mean, as far as diverse groups, sure. I don't.
Talking to you, I don't think you're somebody that's going to say, well, I'm not going to go support this person.
Yeah.
I'm going to support
Yeah.
this person.
We can tell by talking to you. The next question kind of is along the same lines. What support will you provide in regards to minorities in the community to make them feel well represented?
That's it. I have a very good friend that she is very involved in the community in a lot of different avenues and and she is a minority, double minority. Honestly, if there's something I don't understand, I do ask her.
Yeah. It makes sense.
I do ask her.
At least you find answers. I like that.
And she's very upfront with me, and if there's something that I don't understand, she's got a heart of gold. She will tell you. She will explain the whole process, or
right.
what I don't understand. I maybe should have said not the process, but what I don't understand.
Yeah.
And I don't. We're all human beings,
Right?
We all have the same creator,
Right.
so I don't see the. I mean, I don't see the rate, and this. I don't feel this is like it is on the national scene, but I don't feel the racism.
Mm-hmm.
And if it is, I don't want it.
Right.
I've always taught my kids, it doesn't matter.
We're all people.
We're all people, and if our skins are different colors, it doesn't matter because, if I cut myself, I'm going to bleed red, and if you cut if we cut,
I'm red.
You're red,
Yeah.
So everybody's the same. We all have the same creator. We all have the same matchmaker.
Yep.
I don't have a problem with minorities.
Right there with you.
So
right there with you.
I just want to, because this isn't with that question, but with your answer, when you talked about you have somebody that you go ask a question to, I'm kind of going to go back to everything we also have talked to. Do you keep that same mindset with everything? If there's something that you're willing to say, well, I don't know that answer. I'm going to go find somebody that does know that answer.
Oh, I ask a lot of questions.
Okay. I like to hear that.
We like that a lot. I'm the same way. I'm not going to tell you I know something or try to give you a bullshit answer. I try to go find the answer for you.
You know, you will lose credibility with somebody by giving them some BS answer and being incorrect versus just saying, hey, you know what? I don't know, but let me find out. Could you give me a couple of days?
Yep.
And to ask that right person, I would much rather do that.
Yep.
Because people know. If somebody's asking you the question, generally they have a good idea on what the answer should be or something close to it.
Yeah.
So, no, that struck a chord with me when you brought that up. So I was like, I just want to get that out there that you also do that with everything else.
Yeah, I do. I'm not afraid to ask questions.
That's the type of
like
people
that.
I like representing me. Somebody that doesn't know everything, but will go find the answer.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, me too.
So that's the end of the listener questions. The next portion here is something we do with every guest that's been on the podcast. So this is going to be not just the candidates, but every guest we've ever had. How do you feel about where the state of our country is right now, and do you feel that we are being well represented at the federal and state levels?
I knew that's
And local, even though you're representing.
Even though you're representing, but at the federal, state, and local levels.
On the federal side, oh man, I do not feel that I am represented on the federal side of things. I'm not saying that our senators, our House of Representatives, is not doing a good job for Nebraska, but I'm saying as a whole, I think we're missing a lot of what's important, and again, you kind of mentioned earlier the squeaky wheel gets the grease, but that squeaky wheel does not fit everybody. So, and we look at our presidential election, man, I don't know what to say with our presidential election. It's so tough. It's tough. And there's so much turmoil on red or on blue instead of caring about the individual or caring about the average person. Mm-hmm. So it's hard for me to.
There's been too much division created.
Yeah.
It's tough to navigate.
And we need to come back and have some unity, but I don't know can that ever be fixed?
We hope so. That's our hope that it can be. But it's going to be a tough road.
Yeah.
Do you feel that the two-party system that is in place right now still works in today's time?
What would we replace it with?
That's a question we get a lot, and we don't have an answer.
And so to answer your question, I don't have an answer, but tell me what we'd replace it with. I don't think we need to get rid of. I don't think we need to go to a popular vote. Mm-hmm. I don't think that would do us in Nebraska any good.
No. It would screw us.
Yeah, it would screw us over. It would
screw the middle of the country. Would be
exactly. So I don't think that'd do us any good. So we lose our delegates and we go to the populist vote. So and then if we go to populist vote, we don't have any say so in anything.
Right.
So tell me what we're going to replace it with. I want to hear it.
Right.
Kind of like with the Epic thing. Is that I'd like to hear more. I'd like to know more. Be educated on it more. Yep. And maybe it is something I can 100% get behind. But until that is presented,
it's just broken and needs fixed.
Seems like on that, like even the Epic is like somebody just throws a whole big thing together. Kind of when we went, it kind of goes back to the yes vote too. Put 5 things together. Maybe we just need to go and just start at one thing.
One at a time.
Let's go one thing. All right, we've got this fixed. All right, now we can move on to this one. Let's see what we can do here. And me and him had talked a lot about when we talk about the two-party system. And I agree with him. He's talked a lot about like it's gone. It's served its time. I've also had the part. I've been on the other side of it where like you have to have a little bit of a give and take, but it's broken. And I'm willing to admit right now it's broken.
But blue to red, red to blue, there is no give and take.
There's a uniparty. There's us.
That's what we call it.
There's us as the citizens, and then there's a uniparty. And I've said that for a while. Like there's a few on the fringes, but most everybody's.
But if we went away from the two-party system, we'd never agree on what the next system is.
Right.
That's true.
You're not wrong.
So we got to fix what we have. Is the way we look at it. I like that.
Yeah. Where do you see yourself going in the future? Are you enjoying where you are? Do you see yourself staying in Northeast Nebraska?
100%. Northeast Nebraska is great. This has been home to me. I don't know anything different. No, I'm not going anywhere. I love my job at college. I love what I do for my own business. I love the people here. It's very refreshing to be able to walk into a store and see a familiar face and just say, hey, how you doing? They greet you, you greet them. It's pretty awesome. Now this is my home.
I always say it's just big enough to where sometimes you go out, you don't see somebody, and that's okay.
And that's okay. But this is home.
Yeah,
this is 100% home to me.
Completely agree with you. This portion, we want to give you 2 minutes uninterrupted to give whatever thoughts you want to the listeners about you, your candidacy.
Whatever you want to talk about.
Whatever you want to say. If you don't want to use the 2 minutes, you don't have to, but we want to give you time to just say what you want to say.
No, I guess with the 2 minutes, one is that I have 100% investment in this community. My wife is born and raised here. My children have been born and raised here. A lot of the decisions that I'm helping curve or make today, I really have the next future in place so I can keep my children in town. I want something for them to be proud of. I want something for them to be here. So I do. A lot of the decisions I make are not about me, and they're not about today. They're about those that can vote, that would vote for me, and they're about my family. And honestly, any of your kids, everybody wants to leave a place better than what you found it. This is a prime example of why I'm doing this, and to look into the future. I hope we do make that 30,000 in the next decade. What do we got to do to get these people here? Let's keep an open mind. Let's move this forward. Let's and entertain that we are open for business and do it correctly. So I guess that's kind of why I enjoy doing this, and I enjoy having that voice for somebody who doesn't want to, leaving the better for the next generation, and giving back to the community that's been so good to me. So I guess that's kind of me in a nutshell.
Very well said.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's great.
Awesome.
Used a minute and a half of that, but
It's tough to take out 2 minutes. That's really good though.
that's awesome.
We really appreciate you making time to be here today and give us and the community your thoughts. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys doing this. This was new to me. I've never done this before, but
Well, hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully it was a good time. Hopefully we didn't pressure you too hard.
I did.
Don't hate us.
Yeah.
I just, I guess if there's any questions, if anybody's, that are the podcast listeners, if there's something that I didn't maybe expand on enough, and you have a question, my number's on the city webpage. You can reach out.
What is the best ways to reach out to you? What's the website and all that type of stuff?
Truthfully, a phone call or text message is the best.
Okay.
I shouldn't say the best. It's probably one of the easiest, and an email.
Yeah.
I'm not on social media. I took a stance years when everybody was getting into it. I just took a stance that I wasn't going to be part of it.
It's probably saved you a lot of time.
One, time is precious. The other thing is that, if you
Keeps your blood pressure lower.
if you want to speak to me.
Yeah.
The other thing is that this is truly about the next generation, and why one of the reasons I don't care for social media is, if we were on the playground or we were at school and we got made fun of, guess what? At 3:30, we went home.
You guys went and had a chess match.
Everything that, or that.
That's what we call it.
that or we went home.
Yeah.
And we didn't get bothered again until the next morning.
Yeah, right.
If even anybody remembered or cared to carry on whatever, was. And so I think there's a lot of bullying that happens. Mm-hmm. It's easy to do it behind a computer screen. It's hard to do it face to face. And I guess I just cared not to fall into that.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So I guess that's the stance I took on it.
What's the city website so that they can find your information? Where to get a hold of you if they need to?
My email is khildebrand@norfolk.gov or norfolkne.gov.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Perfect. And you can look up his number.
And you can look
we're
up
not
my
going to give it
number
out on
on
the
the way.
podcast.
No, we don't need to give that. out.
But yeah,
I just wanted to find a way to get to the website to get your email,
Yeah.
your city.
I think it's just norfolkne.gov. Isn't
And,
it?
yep. And then on the left-hand column, it says mayor and council. So Josh is the first one. I'm the very second one,
Okay.
first councilman on there. Absolutely.
Perfect.
Click on it. I think it takes you right to an email, or at least to my web, or at least to
They
give
get
me
hold of
an
you
email.
at some point.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
And I think you answered all the questions really well. I think you were very open and honest, which
That's who I am.
we really appreciate that.
Yep. Thanks.
Big thanks to our producer Ryan Battershaw, co-host Vance Neidig, Kory. Thank you so much again for being here, making the time.
Not a problem.
We will see you guys all next week.
All right.